think about the last time you're hanging out with an entire group of people having so much fun for an extended period of time, like a long weekend. And all of those people were strangers to you who weren't asking you like, oh, what do you do for work? What do you do? But instead they were asking you like, what are your dreams? And how can I help support you? And you could geek out about travel because these are all people who are location independent. In other words, they ain't gotta be anywhere unless they want to be. People who travel the world and who live on their own terms. This was Camp Indie for me. A lot of people ask, like, what was it? Like an adult summer camp? Or like, what did you do? I saw you like ziplining and water skiing and drinking and 90s dance party. And yeah, we did all of those things. But we also did a lot of like intentional workshops, as well as listen to some really inspirational keynote speakers, and did things like I was teaching the drone workshop, super fun, in which we were empowering and learning and inspiring each other. And coming out of this weekend, there were over 100 people that I got to connect with who are now my BFFs for life. And there are some moments from this past weekend that I really wanted to share back with you to give you some inspiration and encourage you to, join me on the freaking next one. I don't even know when the next one is, but you should. And so in today's podcast episode, Camp Indie. And if you're new here, I'm Christine Lozada, and this is another episode of Everyday Badassery. This is a traveling podcast meant to inspire you to be just 1% more badass today than you were yesterday. It's all about those tiny badass moments in life that lead to our big ones. I have 6 learnings that I want to share back with you from Camp Indie, so let's dive into that first one. Learning number 6 is fuck perfection. No, seriously, like fuck perfection. I actually want to kick this off by, I want you to think about a time in your life, in any aspect of your life, in your work, in your health, in whatever it is, in your relationships, in which you were like, I have achieved perfection. I've achieved perfection in this moment. When in your life have you felt that way? And maybe you have, and actually if you have, please send me a message and tell me more about that time. But my guess is for most of us, we've never actually achieved perfection. And that's the thing and the danger of perfection is it's not supposed to be reachable because you can always do a little bit more. I'm sure just now you thought of a moment where you're like, oh, there was that one time I was so close to blah, 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 and you got close, right? But it's like to achieve pure perfection is a dream that we honestly shouldn't be dreaming about. It should be a nightmare. And well, that's just my opinion. But perfection is a scary thing, because our society makes us think that we should be achieving or trying to achieve perfection, when really it's the top thing that holds us back, that wastes our time, that keeps us from starting things, that scares us from finishing different things. And so it was a moment throughout the weekend in which more than once we would all yell as a collective group, fuck perfection, as a reminder that we really should give 2 middle fingers up to this thing that is not achievable, nor is it healthy. I think about when I first started creating, and I always wanted to achieve perfection with every piece of content I put out. And it's like, okay, awesome. The first couple edits that you have to a YouTube video, huge improvements, huge changes. Edit number 126, edit number 158, it's not even noticeable to anyone what has changed anymore. Yet in my eye, I could see it could just be improved and could almost be perfect. Think about moments in your life where you might have that same not so healthy mindset. And so even now, like, I don't have the perfect words for this podcast, yet I know I have something to give back in this message, and that's enough to turn on the camera and to turn on the mic. So fuck perfection and just get out there and make it good enough. One thing that I've recently adopted in the last year or so in creating content, and consider trying this for any aspect of your life, literally set a timer. I am going to create X or do X in Y amount of time. And, like when I came out of Camp Indie from the weekend, I had this idea of what I wanted to capture in a video format, to do like a sizzle reel of like what happened that weekend. And I gave myself a limit, 5 edits. And I wasn't going to spend more than a couple hours doing it. 2-hour time limit, 5 edits. And then I would give the team, the Camp Indie team and Travis, 1 additional edit if they wanted me to change anything, and that's it. And, as I watch it back now, yeah, there are more things I could change. I could, I should color grade those shots so my 360 camera better matches my GoPro, better matches the shots from my drone. And I should probably make that speed ramp a little bit smoother. Maybe I should, all the things, right? Does it matter? Not really. This is not something that requires perfection. It requires being timely and sharing with people something that just happened that is near and dear to our heart. So before you consider perfection, consider the premise for why you're doing or trying or whatever it is, whatever you're trying to do, what is at the heart and at the crux of that first, and not how can I perfect the thing, because that's honestly not what matters at the end of the day. And here's another one. Think about a time that you feel like someone else did something perfectly. Okay, don't think about the Olympics right now, because that's not a good example. Think about someone in your everyday life that achieved something that was perfect. And go ask them, did you feel that was perfect, right? Like, who in your life is achieving perfection and having that as a goal? Whew, all right, fuck perfection. That's number 6. Number 5 is about having more courage. We all need to encourage having more courage in our everyday lives. And there are a lot of times that I feel like I'm a motherfucking badass with, I'm generally very fearless. And there are times in which I'm encouraging myself to build up the courage to do almost anything, literally everyday things. I was in Connecticut for a while playing pickleball, and sometimes you walk onto the court and you don't know if people are going to be nice to you, and you don't know if someone's going to laugh at you, or someone's not going to let you play with them, or someone's going to tell you that you are likely not a good player, or someone is going to ask you to get off the court because they don't want to play with you. These are all things that have happened to me, by the way, as I've been traveling and playing pickleball. Yet I show up with courage every single time to the courts and just keep my fingers crossed. I'm going to have a great experience, and I'm going to do my best to help the conditions for having a really good time, whether that means being open and friendly to people, saying hello, smiling. And I'm trying to build up the courage all the time in everyday moments. And so number 5 is about having more courage, both for our big moments in life and for our small everyday moments. And one of the things that I was realizing during Camp Indie is that I needed to bring more courage to the table more often. Whether that meant simple things, went and grabbed my lunch, oh man, I should go sit next to Mari. I'm so excited she's here and I want to catch up on what she's doing. Nah, I'll do that later. I'm going to go sit next to someone that I just don't know at all. And I don't know what lunch is going to be like with that person, but I'm going to go find someone I don't know and have the courage to strike up a conversation and ask them how their day was and what they got up to and what kind of adventures they had. Or having more courage around, again, right now, I don't have a perfect podcast planned right now, but my intentions are right. And I feel like I need to have the courage to just turn on the camera and do the thing because it's coming from the right place, and that's enough. That's enough. And, having the courage to speak your mind. I realize more and more as time goes on, and the more I both create content and consume content, how important each of our voices are, and that oftentimes we will think that our opinions or what we have to say or our experiences of things are not that big of a deal. They are a huge fucking deal. Your voice and your experience is specific to you. No one has that same thumbprint that you do. No one had that same experience that you did in the way that you experienced it. And by sharing it, you never know whose life you're going to touch and what kind of courage you might be passing on to someone else. Your story and your experiences are important and they need to be shared. And oftentimes I will, going back to perfection, before I raise my hand in a situation and before I speak up on something, I'm going to want to think through like what I'm going to say. And I realize I oftentimes will not end up saying anything at all because I'll still be thinking about it. And then the moment has passed in which, hey, if you have an experience to share at Camp Indie, come up on the mic and, share that, blah, blah, blah. That happened twice over the weekend, in which I was still thinking about the perfect answer. And then the moment passed and I didn't have a chance to go up. And then finally on the last day, there was one more moment in which, we could share back like some kind of experience that we had that would benefit others. And I was like, I don't know what it is, but I know I have an answer. So I'm just going to go up there and I'm going to try to figure out what it is in the moment. And actually, I'll share what I said. It was a reflection of the weekend about like some kind of fear you overcame or, some kind of thing you were nervous about with camp. And then like basically how did it play out? And one of the things that I don't know if nervous is the right word. I'm going to go with it. One of the things I was nervous about coming to camp is I knew that there would be some really amazing experienced travel creators who are doing it and making it big. And I knew that they would be there, and I knew that they have mutual respect for me and that they would push my mindset on what I've been doing. I have been working really freaking hard, and I have been really pushing the envelope and trying to encourage myself to go bigger and dream bigger and do more every day. And I know I'd come to the table sharing these experiences and they would challenge my thinking and encourage me to do even more. And that's exactly what happened. And it's the best thing. And it's why I came, to be around people that would encourage me and that would push me even more and into those moments of fear where I'm making decisions and starting projects and starting new businesses where I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I'm really scared right now. That is what I was there for. And it's scary to be around people who are going to encourage you to do those things. And I shared that on the mic. And I thanked the people who pushed me to think about getting a PR person to help me to be on more stages, to speak, not as just a workshop speaker, but as a keynote speaker, to think about, not just being location independent in places for weeks at a time, but to go to Africa with Nora for 4 months next year and see 4 different parts of Africa, because why the F not? Or to be part of the Dynamite Circle with Scott and to go to Bangkok to these insane travel circles of brilliant minds that I didn't even know existed until I went to Camp Indie. And the list goes on and on and on. And, all of these things are like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this information? Like, how do I even get started? And you just do. You just do. You have the courage to just trust yourself and just go, feel it out. And that's another thing, right? So many people want to think about, I was having this beautiful conversation with Maggie where she was like, oh, I'm too scared to start. There are so many ideas I have of things I want to do. Everyone's telling me to pick one, to niche down, and I was like, nah, just go. Like, just start all of the things. And, niching down is a really great thing. But when you're first getting started, how are you supposed to know? When you first go to college, how are you supposed to know what you're going to be when you grow up? You should go try a lot of different classes and maybe change your major a few times. Is it a pain in the butt? Yeah, because you probably have to make up a bunch of credits and classes and stuff, but it's no different later with creating or whatever you're starting. How are you supposed to know if that's a business you want to build or the topic you want to talk about or whatever, or the audience you want to build until you try it a little bit or a lot? And so it's important to have courage to just put yourself out there, to constantly encourage yourself to do a little bit more, to step outside your comfort zone, whether that means a little bit in your everyday or a lot in the big decisions you make in life. Because again, when you're practicing this courage in your day-to-day, sitting with that person that you don't know what lunch is going to be like with them, striking up a conversation with someone who, I don't know, that you don't know, or playing pickleball with a bunch of people who may or may not accept you on their court. These are things that build small courage over time for that big badass courage you're going to need later. So courage. And actually, that's one other story that I want to share is I brought Meatball this past weekend. And Meatball and I are very, very different. We had very different upbringings. I was very fortunate and very privileged and grew up in a very safe part of North County, San Diego, hanging out with surfer dudes and skaters and, playing beach volleyball on the weekends. Meatball grew up in the Bronx in a very hard environment in which people were stealing his stuff as a child. And, he was hearing gunshots all the time. Drive-bys were a norm. And the best thing that he could likely do when he grew up was to likely be one of the guys selling drugs on the corner. Those are two very different upbringings. And I brought him to Camp Indie because I really wanted him to experience my people. And I wanted him to experience what it's like being around people who genuinely have your best interest in mind and not theirs, who are reaching out their hand to shake your hand and not ask you, what is it that you do? Instead, they're asking you, what is it that you dream about? Or where did you last travel? Or I don't know, what's been the best part of your day? These are people who have your best interest in mind. And for him, it was a very different experience than what he's used to. And we talked a lot throughout Camp Indie about courage. And he took that into his day-to-day. And after Camp Indie, we spent some time in Connecticut on the lake. And he tried doing a lot of water sports that normally he's not very good at, whether that's wake surfing or hydrofoil. If you don't know what a hydrofoil is, imagine it looks like a wakeboard kind of, and you have a remote control and you're literally surfing on the water and it lifts out of the water and you're going pretty fast. And so he was totally determined, no matter how long it took, to get both of these things. And he had the courage to literally be in the water for hours doing these two things. And he did. Because old Meatball, he would be like, nah, I can't figure it out. It's done. I'm over it. But, Meatball after the weekend was feeling really encouraged by everybody and encouraged through himself. And, he was out there in the water, doing his absolute best, and he finally got it, and he's really proud of himself for that. And so courage in your everyday, big and small. Number 4 is find your people, go to your people, and keep your people close. And what I mean by this is the people that both understand you and support you. And I didn't realize how much of a drain it's been on my life until I listened to a talk by Nora. And Nora, aka the professional hobo, I have a few podcast episodes that we've done together on everyday badassery. And Nora is the OG. She has been a digital nomad traveling this world anywhere she wants to go for a really freaking long time. She's one of the OG bloggers out there. She is a badass creator. And Nora gave a keynote speech during the weekend. And it really made me understand that the people that I often surround myself with do not understand the life that I've chosen. And that the amount of drain in my energy and drain in my drive to live this lifestyle is a lot because I'm constantly explaining myself to people who don't understand and do not agree. And so I'm just going to give you 2 easy examples. One is there's a difference. There's a difference between being on vacation and being a traveler. So for everyday people who I used to work with at Walmart.com and at Amazon who know me from a corporate standpoint, who have the 14 days of vacation per year, who do not use them and maybe might use like 5 days only if they have to, so they can accrue the rest and pay out on them later, right? Like these are people who don't really travel. Vacation for them is going somewhere, traveling somewhere, completely turning off, right? Brain is off, electronics are off, drinking game is on, it's tours all day long, it's relaxation, blah, blah, blah. And they're doing this for the however many days, maybe it's 5, maybe it's the full 14, good for you, 14 days a year. I am traveling something around 300 and something days a year. It's less than 365, I'll tell you that, but it's more than 299. I'll also tell you that. I am constantly traveling. And there's a difference in what it looks like. Christine, who used to vacation from her corporate job, versus Christine, whose lifestyle is travel. And to explain to someone that I am traveling, but I am not on vacation is a very confusing thing for people when I am traveling with a laptop, when I'm looking for a place to go work out, when I have not spent more than a week in a place, or even more than, a couple days in a place. It's very confusing to people. And that I choose this lifestyle, that I don't necessarily have, an easy place to come back to and rest my head all the time. Sometimes I do. Where I'm filming right now, if you're watching this in the video version, I turned Meatball's house into my camera storage closet, my office, and my filming studio, which is fantastic. But am I here all the time? No, I'm here for between now and November. This is being filmed at the end of June. I'll be here for a couple weeks between now and then, right? Is that considered home? Not really. And so people don't understand my lifestyle, and it becomes exhausting to explain myself. But this isn't about me. I'm sharing this story with you because how is it in your own life? Do you find yourself explaining the choices that you've made, or the relationships that you've chosen, or whatever it is, the work that you do, and do the people around you understand you? Because understanding is one thing and may or may not be important, but what is important is having the right people who support you. And so number 4 and number 3 are kind of 2 different kinds of people. It's really important to have a group of people who both understand your life. They can relate to it. Nora and I, we on the same page, and we are here to support each other because we understand each other's problems and the things and the challenges I have, and the types of things and opportunities I'm looking for are ones that she has access to and is helping me to look for those opportunities and is keeping my best interests in mind as she's going through her day-to-day. She's there to support me. She understands me, and we have relatable stories that we can share with each other. So having the people that understand and support you is important. Who are those people for you? And keep them close. And then there's the other side. I have people in my life, and you need to find people in your life who might not understand you. Maybe it's your family. For me, it's my family. They don't get it. Why you live the lifestyle you live. It's weird. But they support me. They don't understand it, but they support me. Generally. Not all the time, but enough. And so it's important to also have just your support network of people who are encouraging you. Because I learned that the more time I spend draining my energy by people and explaining to everyone why I live the life I live and why it makes sense for me, that is not a place where I feel encouraged to do more and to go bigger and to dream of crazier ideas. And coming out of this weekend, I got some crazy ideas because I have the right support group who are like, yeah, that is 100% possible. And I am going to keep my ear to the ground because we are in a similar, a similar type of community and people doing similar work. And I'm going to try to connect you with more people who are doing what you're doing. And so it's important to find the right people. And if you're thinking, I haven't found my people and I don't know how to find my people, come to the next Location Indie event. No, I'm not sponsored by them, but yes, I will be at the next one and you should come. Learning number 2 from Camp Indie is that we all crave being seen, being heard, and being acknowledged. We are human. And as humans, we crave connection and love with other people. And we did a couple exercises at Camp Indie. One of them was led by, I don't know his official title. He has a gift. He does breath work, but his name's Jacob. And I'm not really, and Travis says this too, I'm not really into the woo-woo stuff. And so this was different for me. And it's funny because Jacob shows up authentically as himself, which is like, if I were to see him on the street, I would think that he's the dude that's headed to the VIP tables at the nightclub that I'm about to go drink a lot of Grey Goose at and cut a rug on the dance floor. He looks like that guy, yet he does amazing breathwork and intentionality workshops, one of which I had the opportunity to take, which was around connecting with other people. And we did this connection with our eyes only. And as I share this story with you, I just want you to think about your own life and the times in which you have really felt seen, heard, and acknowledged. And generally for me, that has felt like moments in life where I felt truly loved, that someone really listened to me, that someone really acknowledged the way I was feeling about something and really heard me. Too often in our lives, we have people who don't really want to listen to what we have to say, like, no, I don't want to hear that. Or like, you have something difficult to say. I find this a lot in my conversations with my family because I'm okay with talking about the hard things. And a lot of times they don't want to hear it. Like they just, no, okay, all right, got it, whatever, okay, I got it. Like, right? And it's like, no, hear me out because it will make me feel like you understand why this matters to me. And too often, whether in those types of moments or other moments of our lives, we are just brushed over. And what we have to say goes, or what we are feeling goes unacknowledged, which is kind of funny because you can't talk over me because I have the microphone on this podcast, which is quite funny. Anyway, in this workshop that we did with Jacob, we used our eyes only to connect with other people. And there's a lot that you can say with your eyes, and your eyes truly are a window into your soul. And we would literally stare at a stranger. Some people I knew, and sometimes I was paired up with strangers for like 2 minutes at a time and have conversations with our eyes only. And he would prompt us with different things. Acknowledge your neighbor and say hello with just your eyes. And think about that. And well, maybe just for 10 seconds, try that with someone in the grocery store or something like that, right? Make eyes with somebody. You really can say a lot with your eyes and connect with people through your eyes. And we did this connections workshop that was unlike anything else I've experienced. And in full transparency, going back to number 6, which is fuck perfection, I have tried to explain what happened in this session 6 times. And all of them are going to get edited out because it's very difficult to explain. I'll just say this. It is very impactful. And if you care about connecting more deeply with yourself and with others, consider checking out Jacob's work. I am going to link that in the show notes below because he has a gift and he is amazing. But one thing I would also encourage you to do is think about the moments in your own life in which are you doing a good job of seeing, acknowledging, and hearing other people and the people that you love in your life. Because I think about some of the changes I've made in my own life in the last 5 years. You know, one of my big badass moments in life was walking away from a relationship, i.e. my marriage, because I was not seen, acknowledged, and heard the way I wanted to be. You know, one of the things was I would tell my significant other, like, hey, the way I like to be loved, if you haven't read Love Languages, you should. It's an amazing book. I like to hear the words, I love you. Like, tell me that you love me. And he would always tell me, no. Like, I love you. I don't need to tell you. And it's like, I just want to, now, Christine now is like, yo, is it really that freaking hard? Like, just fucking tell me, man. Like, it's not that hard. I get it. I know you love me, but I like to hear it. So give it to me. And think about that in your own life. And who are the people that you love? And how can you truly see, hear, and acknowledge them in the ways that they want to be seen, heard, and acknowledged? And there are so many times that I am like this, even when I'm meeting strangers, where I try so hard to really tune in to what that person needs. Because sometimes they just really need to tell you their story and they want to talk and they want someone to listen to. And I'm going to be that person. I am going to listen, and I'm going to show you I'm listening by asking some really deep questions and listening to what you have to say and acknowledging the cool things that I am hearing from your story, because that's the person I like to be. I also make sure I'm only talking to people that I really want to hear their stories also. That's another aspect of my life. But anyway, all right. Seeing, hearing, and acknowledging people. That's number 2. Number 1, this one, so important. And I really felt this way also when I was at World Domination Summit. And I was listening to Gary Ware talk because he recently launched his own book about playing. But we all need to be so much more playful in life. When we are playing and when we are having fun, that is living life. Whether that means literally playing games or it means just being playful in your day to day. And so one thing I encourage you to do is to just reflect back on your last 24 hours or maybe your last 7 days. When was the last time that you truly played? That you giggled like a kid, that you, did something silly. And, like one of the things that I am notorious for is that, when people are in really serious moments, like someone was on the pickleball court the other day being serious, like seriously hitting bangers, smashing that wiffle ball. And when they looked over at me on the other court, I was ready with my tongue out, sticking my tongue out at them, making a face. Because don't forget, you're playing a game called pickleball and it's a wiffle ball and it's, it's fun. It's fun. Like, don't forget, we're having fun here, everybody. And sometimes we need that reminder, even when we are playing games. But how can you be more playful in your day-to-day, whatever that means for you? Whether that means, just having a moment of coloring and art. I feel like that was such a big thing that came up during the pandemic. Or whether that means, like listening to some Yo Mama jokes. Because, we all need to bring those back. Oh, they're freaking hilarious. Whatever it is for you, we all just need to be more playful. Because also when we are more playful, we can connect more. And I'm going to bring up pickleball again because one of the things I think is really interesting, because I was chatting with someone who's about to turn 18 and go off to college. I was talking to him about how excited I am for this next part of his life because he will connect with people in a similar and new environment that's oftentimes very playful when you're off to college, and make friendships of a lifetime. And it's a difficult thing to find things like that when you're an adult. We don't play in that same way. We're not really in those new situations anymore when we're an adult. But you are when you play pickleball. And it's one of my favorite reasons why I like to play. It's because oftentimes we are around other people who are just learning to play. We're all in it together. And this is a team sport where 4 of us are playing at a time. And there's enough downtime during the game where you can have side conversations on the court and learn about other people's lives and connect in new and deep ways, and then come back tomorrow and play again and see the same person and maybe meet someone else that's new. And it goes on and on and on. Finding more play in your life is a must. This life is short. We all need to be less serious about it. I was recently telling myself the other day, like, oh man, you really got to work harder. You really got to, like, all the things, right? All the things. You need better results. You need to, try this or that. You need to launch this business. So-and-so's doing that. You should also be doing, you should be doing the things that you want to do things that your heart tells you, or the things that are your calling. You should follow your passions. You should play along the way. So often now I see pickleball or other things like that. I recently learned to play spike ball as an investment in myself, because the more happier and the more playful I am, the more joyful I show up in this world and can go create like a badass and do all the other things, right? When I am in a place of fear, in a place of stress, I'm not willing to try the fill in the blank with whatever it is. Launching a new business, scuba diving somewhere new, flying my drone when I know someone's going to have something negative to say about it because they think I'm spying on them when really there's dolphins jumping in the waves. Like, relax yourself. You ain't that cool. Anyway, play. These are the 6 things. Let's recap those 6 things. 6, fuck perfection. 5, we all need more courage. Encourage yourself to have more courage in your life. Encourage yourself to find more uncomfortable moments so that when the big moments come up, you are ready, right? Number 4, find your people. And number 3, find the people that not just understand you, but support you, right? Find your people. And then we all crave being seen, acknowledged, and heard. And number 1, be playful. Get out there. Be playful. I'm Christine Lozada. If you heard something that resonates with you, oh my God, connect with me and leave a positive review, please. Helps to distribute this to more people. That was Camp Indie for me. Check the show notes and the other podcast episodes because there's a bunch of badass people I met that I'm going to be interviewing on this podcast. And I want to share their stories with you to empower you to be just 1% more badass today than you were yesterday. So go forward, be badass, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.